party system. No, I must place the unions in proper perspective for people to understand.
Hello and welcome to the program. It's now over 90 days since President Muhammadu Buhari has been away from Nigeria on medical leave. But up till this moment, there has been no official word as to the nature of the ailment of the president. Not minding the fact that the president actually complied with the constitution by handing over to his deputy when he was leaving, and that the machinery of government has been running without hitches, some Nigerians say that is not enough and that they want to know more about the president's health status. In fact, a group simply known as Our Mumudondu, led by maverick Nigerian entertainer Charles Oputa, otherwise known as Charlie Boy, has been holding sit-out rallies in Abuja demanding that the president returns or resigns. The group has indeed gone a step further to allege that the president is now incapacitated and no longer fit to continue in office. Take a listen to what they've been saying.
I've always said that the future of the Nigerian survival rests in the hands of the exceptional Nigerian youths.
Yes, well spoken.
Because if the Nigerian youths cannot rise up to retrieve their stolen future, there is no future for them in this country.
Yes.
Because we don't see that the atmosphere everywhere is surrounded by very old people who should actually be put to pasture. Who should actually be sleeping. That say we youths go there for this country. Now so old sick people, now then they rule us. It cannot happen again. Nigerian youths, wake up from your slumber.
Yes.
The president, if indeed is a man of integrity as he claimed, should have resigned after 1 month of his incapacitation. If they bring the president back now, it's just arrangee. They will arrange him, put him in a room, arrange him to see press, take pictures with people. Posterity will be unkind to Muhammadu Buhari for what he's doing to Nigeria. Posterity will be unkind to the cabal in Aso Rock. Posterity will be unkind to the police that they were using to tear gas us.
200 million of us cannot be held ransom just because one person is sick.
Yes.
When the president came back in February, I expected our health system, there will be overhauling. All we heard was how good the health system was in the UK. I'm not from the UK. I'm a Nigerian. And I need to have medical care here. How many times have you heard that young people are dying of cancer? How many times have you seen that GoFundMe? People begging for money. And what have we done about it? It's not about one person. It's about this country. And Nigeria must work now like that.
Well, now the group actually had a brush off now with, that's on the second day of their rally now, with the police. The rally, of course, the police actually used tear gas and water cannon to disperse members of the group. The police says some hoodlums had infiltrated the group to cause violence. The Nigerian Senate, of course, waded into the matter, criticizing the action of the police, but at the same time adding that the president has not violated any law in the country since he complied with the provisions of the constitution by handing over power to his deputy. The Senate rather called on the group to pray for the full recovery of the president. Now, the group says it will continue with its sit-out protest rally at the Unity Fountain in Abuja, and it has actually been doing so. That rally has been taking place. Meanwhile, another group which goes by the name Coalition for Good Governance and Change Initiative has also been holding a counter rally in support of the president, bearing banners and placards with various inscriptions like "Our president is recuperating," "Nigeria is moving forward," "The system is working," "No cause for alarm." Members of the group, comprising various civil society organizations, say they support the government, especially in its fight against corruption, and that what the president needs at this moment is prayer and support. Joining me on the program right now is a member of that group which organized that protest in support of the president. That's a member of the Coalition for Good Governance and Change Initiative, Nelson Ekujimi. Nelson, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Just why did you decide to stage this rally now in support of the president? Are you doing it as a kind of reaction to the earlier protest by the other group now? I'm talking about Our Mumu Don't Do group by Charlie Boy?
No, definitely not. What we are doing at this point in time is a reaffirmation of our trust, of our confidence in the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration's policies, most especially the war against corruption, as well as to encourage the government to step up the war against insurgency the more, as well as put in place measures that will address the economic challenges we are facing presently at the moment. It has nothing to do with whatever group have been holding rallies anyway. And I think I want to say it will not be fair of anybody to insinuate that we are holding this rally because the Charlie Boy or other groups are holding rally. I believe at any point in time, as Nigerians, we have the right to express as enshrined in the Constitution. And that we must always do at every point in time in order to engage the system, for better productivity for the collective good of Nigerians.
You're trying to say the timing is just a coincidence, right?
Yes, it's just coincidental. It's just coincidental. It has nothing to do with their protests. We are focused on the fact that we support the present administration, and we believe strongly that this mandate that is being exercised by the President Muhammadu Buhari's government was obtained from the Nigerian people at the polls on March 28, 2015. And as Democrats, as patriots, it behoves on us to rally around the government at any point in time when we feel there's a threat to the peace, unity, and progress of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is precisely what we are doing.
Would you consider the protest by the Mumu Don't Do group now, would you consider that a threat to the peace and security of this country?
Well, I wouldn't want to say it's a threat, but ordinarily, as Africans, I think the protest by the other group, in as much as I recognize their rights to exercise their, freedom of expression through grievances, through protests, I believe it must be done with utmost sense of responsibility and civility, and also with a sense of humaneness. For some of us, we are not too pleased with the fact that some persons are trying to make political capital out of the health situation of Mr. President. Just like any one of us, it doesn't even have to be Mr. President. Anybody, can go under the weather at any point in time. And we believe we must always respect the humanity that God has, given us to be a member of, by always empathizing with people rather than provoking or, being on acts that at the end of the day we do our collective will no good.
What exactly would you say now about the demand of the other group? Asking the president to either resume or resign.
Well, our position to such a call is that it is inhuman, it is irresponsible, it is reckless, it is provocative, it is illegal, in view of the fact that Mr. President, on proceeding on medical vacation, fulfilled the constitutional requirement as enshrined in Section 145 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. And that section of the Constitution states explicitly that whenever Mr. President is going on vacation, that he should transmit power to the Vice President, who automatically becomes the acting president, through a letter to the National Assembly. And that is precisely what Mr. President has done. I'm sure those who framed that section of the Constitution were very, very much aware that Mr. President is not a superman or a foreman, that he can never go under the weather. They recognize the fact that Mr. President is a human being like any other human being. He is not a special being. He's only privileged to be in that position. So that is why they made that provisions, and for us, that provisions has been fulfilled. And also, we must state this with all emphasis, Nigeria operates a constitutional democracy. And so long as the operators of the democratic system are in tune with the letters and spirit of the Constitution, I think that should be commended. Also, I think we should commend Mr. President for depersonalizing the office of the presidency. President Muhammadu Buhari has shown that the presidency of Nigeria belongs to the Nigerian people rather than to a single individual. And that is what he has done. When he was going on medical vacation, he transmitted a letter to the National Assembly, transferring powers to the acting president. And since then, governance has continued, as expected. And we only pray that the Almighty God will renew the strength and health of Mr. President so that he will come back and lead the country and exercise that mandate that we freely gave him at the polls in 2015.
Some people have said the reason why we're having some of these protests now, especially the one by the other group, that's the Momudondo group now, is the fact that as we speak today, nobody actually knows what is wrong with the president. That if the presidency had been forthcoming, or the president himself actually had been forthcoming with what is wrong with him, and people know what is wrong with him, then that would sort of douse the tension, and then people can show some kind of empathy and understanding.
Well, my position to such insinuation is that it is the prerogative of Mr. President to disclose the nature of his illness. Even his wife does not have that authority, or his medical doctor. Don't forget, there's what is known as Hippocratic oath in medical practice. Also, I think there are enough issues on ground today that Nigerians should be concerned with. And these are issues of unemployment, issues of insecurity, issues of a lack of basic infrastructures to make life meaningful for the people of Nigeria, issues of making affordable cost of living for the average citizen, issues of non-payment of salaries by most of the states, issues of non-payment of pensions for our retirees, issues of infant and maternal mortality, issues of flooding that is bevailing various cities in the country. For us, we believe those are germane issues that should concern us, rather than trying to, besiege our mentality with, what is wrong with Mr. President? He must tell us what is wrong with his health. Mr. President has handed over the reins of governance to the people of Nigeria in order to take care of his health. So until Mr. President comes back, I don't think we have the moral right to want to know more than the man himself. We can only, at this stage, continue in our prayers.
So from in your own point of view, you feel the acting president, so to speak, now is very much in charge?
Definitely, it is very, very clear. The acting president assumed the reins of power in line with the Constitution. So there's nothing stopping the acting president from exercising presidential responsibility, and that he has been doing diligently and faithfully. If anybody feels the acting president is not in charge, well, like we always say, we cannot control people's thoughts or their speech. It's a free world. They are free to, go to bed with it. But some of us, and I'm speaking for myself, and millions of Nigerians that, we interact with on a daily basis, are very much at home with the acting president, who is an accomplished professor of jurisprudence locally and internationally. So I think it will be a great disservice to ourselves, an indictment on us as a people, if at this stage of our life, when we should be moving forward, when we will be talking or thinking about how we can change the life of the Nigerian people to equate with those in the developed world, that we have gone to this level of assuming that somebody who is a prof that is not capable or is not in charge when the mantle of leadership is trusted in his hands. I wonder who else is more qualified than, who else will be more in charge other than the acting president who is exercising the constitutional functions of the presidency.
Final question for you, Nelson. Do you think your group now got some kind of preferential treatment now from the security agencies? Because your rally was not disrupted by the security agencies. I'm talking about the police now. But we saw the rally of the other group disrupted by the police.
Well, I cannot speak for the police because I'm not a policeman. Neither am I the spokesperson of the police. But what I saw today was that all the groups that assembled at the Unity Fountain were not disrupted by the security operatives. They were even asking questions. They wanted to know why we are there. What is our protest about? So if the police disrupted any rally, I believe your question should be appropriately situated and you know where to place your question. I'm not qualified to respond to that. But we must state very clearly that the right to protest is the fundamental rights of Nigerians as enshrined in the Constitution. And we must frown at any attempt by either government or any person to infringe on that right. And that is my point.
Kojime, thank you very much for joining us on the program, and thank you very much for your time. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue this discussion. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.